What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Henry Wilson. Welcome into yet another edition of the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Show. We are here for the Tuesday 10-game main slate, coming off of a stellar Monday playbook for Mr. Henry himself here. Some great calls, sir, yesterday. You were all over Chris Paddock, highest scoring pitcher on the slate there. You said like 10 times on the show how much you loved Dalton Varsho and the Blue Jays going up against Brady Singer. That one came through there at the end. So if you were in our Discord, you obviously saw a lot of the screenshots in there, and we're looking forward to some more winning days here today, my friend.
Yeah, it was a great day. Let's hope that it's just a great week, and that was just the beginning. So yeah, we'll keep rolling.
Yeah, I got 10 games here. Again, we have some cores. I'm going to pull up. I forget if the weather had cleared. I know we had some potential rain in Chicago here. I don't know how impactful that was going to be on today. So let's take a look. Couple of games, I guess, potentially, but the Chicago game seems like it's going to be okay. It doesn't seem like any of the other games are really going to be that big of an issue here either. Arizona, St. Louis, again, rain's supposed to be in the area, but not expected to impact today's game. So with 10 games on the slate, we have some interesting pitching to talk about here, some interesting prices, and we'll see if maybe once again we're targeting a pitcher in Coors Field. That worked out yesterday with Sir Dylan Cease. Looking at the pitching, Marcus Stroman is your top price guy today, $9,800 over on DraftKings. He draws that Oakland A's matchup. Grayson Rodriguez at 96, Pablo Lopez at 93, and Logan Gilbert at 9K, rounding out the top four. When you're looking at this top half of the pitching position today, Henry, where are you looking to go?
Yeah, I think, Pablo Lopez is the one that jumps out to me the most here for being only 9,300, and he's facing the White Sox. I don't know why Marcus Stroman is so expensive. Like, I get that he's facing Oakland, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that he's been pitching well. There's no reason that Marcus Stroman should cost more than Grayson Rodriguez or Pablo Lopez. And Pablo Lopez, I think, is the best pitcher just overall on this slate. He's fantastic, and he's facing the White Sox, who are terrible. That one just stands out to me by far the most of these top-end guys today. I like Grayson Rodriguez too, but I'm definitely not going for Stroman or Gilbert. I love Gilbert, but facing Texas, who does not strike out against right-handers and is a great offense in general, Pablo Lopez makes the most sense here. What do you think?
Yeah, no arguments with me here either. Again, I wrote up Pablo Lopez on some underdog plays today as well. I took the over 7 strikeouts. I like that as a flat number for him. It's a number that he's hit in 3 of his 4 starts this season. Then we're talking about Minnesota, a team that, second highest strikeout rate in the league against right-handed pitching. Actually, they might even be number 1 now based off Paddock's dominant performance of them last evening. Chicago rather, right up there with the strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. So liking Pablo Lopez in the strikeout potential there with the 7, and like you said, very dominant potential spot for him there. After that, I do think it gets a little interesting. You work your way down. I agree with you, Grayson Rodriguez. If you want to spend the extra couple money or double spend, you can go there. When we go in the mid tier, Howard and I talked last night. Max Fried's in a good spot against Miami. I know he has struggled largely on the year, but his one good start was against Miami. Miami is a bottom 3 team in almost every metric against left-handed pitching on the season. The win equity is huge with Fried. You're getting him at $8,000 in the mid-tier. So, the ownership today, though, surprisingly, going a lot towards Kevin Gausman at $8,500, coming off of a good start against the Yankees, but obviously he had been rather shaky for most of the year.
Yeah, he did. He bounced back pretty well. I faded him hard in his last outing, and that kind of bit me because he actually bounced back and pitched pretty well. But I don't know if it was still good enough for me to buy back in immediately, especially when he's still 8,500 and the Royals offense is decent. And Kaufman's actually not like a pitcher's park anymore. Like it's actually one of the better hitting parks in the league. And so that scares me a little bit. I just think that the blow-up potential is still so huge with Gausman that hasn't seemed completely right so far. So maybe the last start was the beginning of him turning things around and he'll be great today. But I just don't know if I trust enough to go after him.
Where are you looking in the mid-tier today?
I also don't mind Max Fried. I think you could go against Miami. I think he'll continue to keep pitching better. But I really like, if I'm going down here, I think I want to keep going and go back to Coors and just go to Michael King. He's so cheap, only being 7,000. Like, look,
Yeah.
I get it's Coors Field, but Coors Field isn't as much of the nightmare to pitch in that it used to be. It's still Coors Field, but
Right.
it's gotten better as far as park factors goes. And Colorado's terrible.
Very
They're at fourth in strikeout rate against right-handers, and Michael King just struck out 10 batters in his last outing. Like, Michael King is a very good pitcher. I think he's a better pitcher than like the 7 or 8 guys priced above him today. So Colorado doesn't scare me, even with it being in Coors. I'm going right after Michael King today.
Yeah, much in the way we saw Dylan Cease price down yesterday because of the Coors Field matchup. Again, Michael King here being at $7,000 when he was, he was 7,000 against Milwaukee as well, but he was in the 8Ks there to start the season. I did a little research. Obviously, I took Michael King today under the 2.5 earned runs. The last 4 home games for Colorado, they haven't scored more than 2, which includes getting shut out in 2 one-run games there. They've also only averaging 3.5 runs per game at home this season are the Rockies, which is terrible considering their environment there. So, yeah, I'm with you there. Michael King at 7K. Definitely looking to go down. And then I got to get your thoughts on Dane Dunning here because we targeted Seattle a lot. Strikeout rate-wise, we know they're among the highest in the league against right-handed pitching. He had 2 7 strikeout games to start the season. Faced Detroit, had 5. Faced Houston, a tough spot, gave up 3. I only had 3. But 20, 18, and 15 fantasy points. If he was to get the win against Detroit, that'd be 19. Under 7K pitcher, strikeout potential, win equity here.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. It's 6,600 is so cheap for someone who's had a pretty good strikeout rate so far and is going against Seattle, who is striking out against even people without good strikeout rates. So it seems like an equation for pretty good amount of points. And like you said, win potential too, because the Rangers are a good team, obviously going up against like Logan Gilbert. So
tough spot for them as well, yeah.
Win or anything, but yeah, you're not going to get this type of strikeout potential for under 7,000 very often. Again, it comes with risk. Dan Dunning's not like a lights out pitcher, but I just think that you have pretty good upside here for how cheap he is.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. You just given the value, yesterday's value pitcher Albert Suarez actually ended up coming through at 4K for those who are brave enough to play him. But you do have Dunning here at 66, probably the cheapest I'd be willing to go. Anybody else for you on the slate?
No. Again, I like Michael King. I could see going for Dunning, but I don't know if I really want to go anywhere.
Yeah, Sports Better here saying King and Lopez and move on. Yeah, it's kind of where I think the majority of us are looking to go here today as well. And we appreciate all of you that are tuning in here to the show here today. If you haven't already, hit that like button, help support Freeway here to do so on the Fantasy Time YouTube channel for us. We definitely appreciate it. Yeah, Julian saying same thing. King and Lopez, the only way to go. Adam saying only fade the Dodgers, Atlanta, and Cincinnati. Rockies suck worse at home for field advantage. Justin popped it in, say, hey, what's going on? And then Dunning saying the barrel rate is super high. I agree. But again, we're looking for strikeout there. We lost Henry there for a little bit. He's got some bad weather, he says, outside, but he's rebooting his computer. He'll be back on here in a moment, which is fine because now we're going to go over to the catcher position, which is a spot that we generally take a look at. And we look to find the cheapest option we can on the board. More often than not, we like to find the value when it comes to the catcher position here. Obviously, on this slate, if you wanted to spend up, you have Adley Rutschman. Griffin Canning's been very terrible this year. More than 4 earned runs allowed or 3 earned runs allowed in 3 of his 4 starts. And we know Baltimore offense is just teeing off on everybody here, though. I don't often find myself looking to spend $5,100 for Adley Rutschman outside of a straight-up Baltimore stack. Travis d'Arnaud continues to be a menace here. Now got 5 homers over the last 4 games for him there. Gets another lefty and Trevor Rogers here tonight. So we'll see if d'Arnaud can keep that hot streak going. Again, he has a history of being a productive offensive player. Certainly goes through stretches. And now that he's getting this consistent playing time, it's going to allow him to find a little bit of a rhythm here as well. And maybe keep some of the at-bats there consistent. Sup, King Smack. Happy to have you in there with us here today. And then Gabe Moreno hitting second today is certainly a good shout against the lefty there. We know at times Corbin Carroll, it's moved down the lineup when the lefty's on the mound. Moreno historically has hit lefties pretty well. He's $3,800. We don't think much of Matt's here. And if you are stacking that lineup, You're going to be able to get some Gabe Moreno in at second. Henry's back. Power strike there. Back in the lineup. You didn't miss much. We've hit up the top end of the catcher position. We highlighted Travis d'Arnaud. Recent power run that he has been on. Certainly 5 homers now over the last 4 games. Something to pay attention to there. You have Campusano at Coors. You have Moreno obviously hitting second tonight against the lefty. Any catchers that you're looking to target specifically tonight, Henry?
I do like Gabe Moreno. I think, again, going against Mats, the Diamondbacks against the lefty is pretty sweet, and him batting second up there. I think if I'm going to, spend a little bit on a catcher, I'm probably just going to go for him. Or if not, I'm going to see who's like super cheap and just go down there.
Andrew's calling out for Cal Raleigh here today. Yeah, listen, we know Dane Dunning has the, can be hit for sure. The only reason I would play Dunning tonight is 1, price, 2, strikeout upside. So, they has that matchup against Seattle. If we are going down, looks like we might have lost Henry with the power there again. Some bad weather in his part. And he's back. We pop back in. Be back? You're good?
I'm here. Yep.
Okay. I was like, we're losing Henry with the power. He'll be back in with us. You say cheap catchers. Now, not all the lineups are out, so we don't have all of the cheap catchers available to us. Obviously no Francisco Alvarez, so maybe Omar Narvaez catches tonight at 2,400. Not that I want to go against Logan Webb, but certainly a possibility there. Any other straight value catchers that you like tonight, or you just kind of wait and see where the lineups take you? May have lost them again. All right, so I'll keep going through, and if we can get Henry back, we'll get Henry back. Again, dealing with some tough power issues with the weather where he's located. So again, as usual with the catcher position, we'll figure it out when the official lineups come through here. Moving over to first base, again, you have the lefty-lefty matchup with Matt Olson here. Trevor Rogers, not great. He's great as a rookie when he got called up, had some struggles, had the injuries. Never going to not to tell you to play an Atlanta stack if you want to sort of work your way through with Matt Olson. You can do so at $5,900. Pete Alonso is 52 against Webb. Again, not looking to go and target Logan Webb all that often. I do like Christian Walker here. Again, numbers against left-handed pitching. Obviously, Arizona is a top 3 offense in the league against left-handed pitching. So obviously getting in the middle bats in their lineup. Christian Walker, 5K, hitting 4th. Batting average isn't too much of a concern. This is kind of the hitter that he is, but at least we know that they do have some potential power to offer for us here. Stacks, asking for the favorite stack. We'll get you your favorite stack here in a little bit, but Arizona certainly against Steven Matz is going to be one of those. If you're not a believer in Kevin Gossman's last start, if you think that there's a chance that Kansas City can get to him tonight, obviously Vinny Pasquantino and the run that he's been on last 10 games, see there right on the screen, 10.8 fantasy points, hitting 370 with a 1,200 OPS, 3 homers there over the last 10. Some power numbers certainly coming around for him. Not going to go Paul Goldschmidt. I know Tommy Henry's on the mound. I get it. He's sitting 4th, but this guy, homered, but I don't know. I still think that bat might be done. If you want to play him, you can at $4,600 hitting 4th, but how do you not want some Coors Field? You got Cronenworth against Feltner, $4,300. That's feeling like a pretty good spot if you look at the stack them here today. We got Henry back. hopefully here for good. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see. Goodness.
We'll see how the weather holds out for our guy. We're just running through first base right now. So I kind of mentioned a couple guys at the top: Pasquantino, Christian Walker. If you want to go there, Michael Bush is $4,500. Obviously getting JB France. You have Cronenworth in Coors. Where are you looking to go when it comes to the first base position here today?
Yeah, Christian Walker's probably my favorite. It's just hard to not. Again, I already talked about Moreno too, like these righty Diamondbacks against Steven Matz. But besides up there, I don't mind going down to Ryan O'Hearn again today. Griffin Canning's been pitching decently, but he doesn't terrify me. And Ryan O'Hearn is just so cheap and has been hitting super well. I think we talked about him yesterday too.
Yeah.
And so, I'm totally happy to go back down to Ryan O'Hearn today.
For sure. He definitely had that nice little power run, 3 straight games with a homer against Minnesota. A couple of down performances. When you're in early season MLB, and 0 for 4 just like tanks your batting average, right? So, I'm not too concerned about the 0 for 11 the last 3 here. Certainly has the ability to bounce back and can bounce back against a guy in Griffin Canning who has, last start pretty good. Starts prior to that, though, not so much. And Baltimore is one of my favorite stacks of the day there. So stacks asking favorite stacks. Baltimore, Arizona looking like 2 for me at least. And Sports Better in here saying Bush Light, baby. Listen, you get the lefty-righty matchup against JP France. Obviously, his home run stretch had to end at some point, but definitely part of that. If you're looking at some value, any names down here popping off for you?
Hey, you go back to Alex Kirilloff. They're facing Eric Fetty. I don't know if I really trust Fetty to do. He's pitched pretty well so far, honestly. Sure. But Minnesota offense isn't that powerful. But he's still batting leadoff, and he can provide you some power. So again, I'm okay kind of going down to that if you really want to save some money. Beyond that, though, obviously you could try to go Rizzo or Sheets down here, but Sheets facing Lopez, and I don't know if there's a world where Lopez isn't in my lineup. So don't want to go for Sheets today.
I like Lamonte Wade here at 34 and Severino.
Yeah. I love Wade against a righty. He just absolutely crushes righties, and Severino is still been pretty hittable. I definitely like that. I mean, he
hits second in that lineup too, kind of. So a really good spot for him. To be there. After that, though, I don't really have much else. I mean, obviously you have Noda. No thanks. Pavin Smith's lefty, not going Tyler Nevin. So. Moving on over to second base, you mentioned Arizona. Ketel Marte is your top price second baseman here tonight. You also have Altuve against a lefty in Wicks at 55. Coors Field with Bogarts. Geloff homered yesterday. He's got Stroman. What are you thinking when it comes to second base here?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to ignore the top there with both Marte and Altuve facing lefties. They both crush lefties, and they're both facing not great lefties. So it's really, really tempting to pay up for second base right now, and you can go either direction. I kind of like the Astros, as horrible as that team has been so far this year. Yeah. I still don't mind going Astros against Wicks today, and especially you talk about those lefty killers in their lineup. But Marte against lefties has just been otherworldly, and he's been so awesome all year. So those guys really, bring my attention up there today. But I think if you don't want to pay that much, there's still some other good options. Nico Hoerner's really turned it around lately.
Yeah.
For all of you who thought, man, I should cut Nico Hoerner because he's not performing early and was down in the batting order and stuff, I hope you didn't, because he very quickly turned around. I think going to continue to be awesome. So I like him and this Cubs team facing JP France today.
Hoerner's a good call. Again, Howard Bender had him in his stock watch last week, and he's like, his stock's turning down. Maybe now's the time to try and get him from an owner who's disgruntled, because he'll eventually start turning it around here. And sure enough, this past week is really on fire. Still no stolen bases, no home runs, but getting on base in that lineup for sure, a good spot for him there. Eduardo Julian had the big day yesterday, 3 for 4, a double, a homer. He has some pop, 5 homers already on the year. If you want to stack twins, like you mentioned, Kirilloff's number 1, Julian's number 2. They have a Kepler hitting 3rd or something like that for them. Lawrence, they're all guys under 4K, and Lawrence has been under 3K. So you can get a very cheap Minnesota stack against Eric Fetty today.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Edouard Julien. I think he's had a kind of rough start to the year, but again, still 5 homers. So he's still providing that power on the top of that lineup. He's a hitter I was in on to start the season. And so, again, for that cheap, you get a quick, even if you just do, 1-2 stack against Fetty, something like that. That's really cheap to get the top of a lineup that could potentially do some damage.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at for if you're trying to get some value here. Again, Jackson Holiday still doesn't have a hit. Basically, he's got one hit, 1 from 30. So tough to continue to hope for the day, but there will be a day where he has a good game. Kevin Biggio against Waka. I like Waka. I like Kevin Biggio, so I don't really know if I'll have either in my lineups here today.
That's where I'm at too.
Mendick is 25, but we like Lopez. Our guy Fletcher yesterday actually came through, hit an RBI, 5 fantasy points. He's actually $100 cheaper than he was, and he's got another lefty on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect a whole lot more than 5 points, but for 2,200, if you can get 5 points, like that's a win. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah.
definitely. He was actually up sadly, he was up second and third, one out again later on in that game and like struck out, I think, or popped out to the infield. Couldn't get it done there. Mark saying back to the basics, get the twin stack in. If you watched our show last year, myself and James Grande, we played a lot of twins because none of them were ever up over $4,000. And we're like, well, they're either going to homer or they're going to strike out more often than not. So you pick the right day and they come through for you there.
Totally.
All right, let's go ahead and go to third base. Austin Riley, $5,800 up at the top. Nolan Arenado against a lefty, 47. Tommy Henry. Tommy Henry has not been pitching well. Bregman versus a lefty. He's kind of also not been playing too well for his price point. What are your thoughts when it comes to third base today?
You know, I know Bregman hasn't been playing well, but he's just such a lefty killer in his career that I kind of want to trust the track record, even though he's had a rough start to the season. Like, he's still a great hitter. I think he's going to continue to be solid and he'll turn it around. So I don't hate going after. I get that it is high price for what the performances he has put in so far.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of okay of trusting the track record and saying that he's going to continue to hit well against lefties and could easily return that value still today.
Okay. Yeah. Again, dude, just knowing that lineup and the power that's in it, it brings that about. Like I mentioned, Goldschmidt obviously had a good couple of days. Arenado's been fine, 289. You're just kind of waiting for the power to come around, and maybe that comes against Tommy Henry here. But I still go back to sort of this range where you have Westberg against Canning, Morel against France, Suarez versus Matz. I think these three in the mid tier, Westberg especially, all kind of stand out to me today.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think this is probably where I want to live in third base today. I like all three of those options: Westberg, Morel, Suarez. Take your pick. Who do you like best? Obviously, Suarez against the lefty has a big power, but Westberg's been, just out of this world still. He's hitting so well. You're not really scared of the righty-righty matchup there against Griffin Canning. No. So, 4,400 for who the guy that's been the best hitter in a ridiculous Orioles lineup. Like, hard to go wrong, it feels like.
Just putting some updated rostership projections into the chat. So those of you who have a Fantasy Alarm membership, you can go ahead and check out today's updated rostership numbers. Again, nothing too surprising going on over there. Top rostered pitcher on DraftKings, Michael King. Again, not really, I don't think, all too surprising to see that number come through here. And then obviously Pablo Lopez, as we expected, is right there as well. So if you guys have any more questions on that, you can certainly check it out. Any other value third baseman for you?
No, I don't think so.
Working our way through here to shortstop then. Bobby Witt up at the top, Seager, Gunnar was the cover of today's stream at 56, Volpe at 48. Like, where are you looking here?
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar rightfully has the cover. He just seems like the outlier here for the quality of at-bats he's putting in and being cheaper than Seager and Witt. Obviously, like, Seager and Witt are better, but Gunnar's been playing better than both of them. And 5,600 at the top of that Orioles lineup, if you want to pay up at shortstop, it's got to be Gunnar Henderson for me, I think, today.
Yeah, no arguments. Again, just 357,000 OPS over the last 10 games here, 2 for 4 with a triple last night. The Orioles lineup, third in total runs scored this season. They're just firing away on all cylinders here, and all their young guys are starting to come through. We haven't even hit their outfield yet, where there's a ton of value available today again, because they're just not really touching the prices on some of these guys here. In the mid-tier, again, there's Coors Field. You can go Arcia and Pena again. Both of those guys have lefty matchups at 41 and 4K.
Yeah, again, we have Orlando Arcia batting second against a lefty for $4,000. It's just, if he's batting at the top of that lineup and against a lefty and this cheap, how do you not plug him in? It's Yeah, he is just such a lefty killer. He's going to continue to produce when he does it, and there's not a price difference. It's not like he's seeing a giant price jump when he is facing these lefties and up here in the lineup. So take advantage of it. Yeah,
2 for 4 were a double last night. You'd expect him to probably score some runs eventually when the guys that are hitting behind him in that lineup, but sooner rather than later. Again, I always like Jeremy Pena. I drafted him in a lot of seasonal leagues. That's paying off. He was like basically free at the end of drafts. Nobody wanted a piece of him, but I was high on him there. He's 41. Any value plays? I mean, our guy Mason Wynn is hitting 6th tonight, so some opportunities for him to keep the hot streak going. Stole another bag yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's being underpriced. I get that it's 0 home runs, but like, look at that. He's batting 323, an 824 OPS. Like, he doesn't need power to be able to produce at this price that he's coming in at. And he continues to hit every day. And even if it doesn't come with any extra base hits, he can provide enough value to be worth paying $2,700 for him.
Yeah. Obviously, the only downfall of Mason Wynn is that he's at shortstop, where there are a lot of good top price guys to spend for. But if your lineup builds dictate it and you're spending up maybe at double outfield or triple outfield today, where there's Acuna, you have Trout, you got Soto, Judge, Tatis, the whole crew here. You got a couple of these guys with great split matchups, Gurriel with the lefty, Ozuna with the lefty. Where are you looking to go a couple of these top priced outfielders today?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about every day how it's hard to really go wrong with these top outfielders. There's just so many studs. But I think the one that's really sticking out to me today is the guy that's just under 5,000 actually, and Cody Bellinger. I think this is a great matchup here for Cody Bellinger. You see that he's had 2 homers in his last 4 games. He's on a nice little hit streak, and I think he's a little undervalued just because he got off to a slow start. But we know that Cody Bellinger can be the best hitter on the planet once he starts going, and it looks like he's kind of starting to go. So I like jumping into a bit of this Cubs lineup, especially against JP France, who I don't trust. And Cody Bellinger's the best hitter on that team.
Yeah, I can get behind some Cody Bellinger there. Again, part of the stack. You get the middle of the order there. And again, we're definitely not high on JP France, that's for sure. And I'm kind of in agreement with you. You can pick any of these top guys. If you're looking down in the mid-tier, we actually finally have Astoria Ruiz in the lineup versus righty. They had really just been playing him against lefties. Did get caught stealing again for the second time yesterday. So, his stolen base ratios aren't great. But I like that he's at least running. He had 2 walks, which is huge for a guy that we needed to see him actually get on base. And now you look at the Yankees here. Trevino is one of the worst catchers in baseball in terms of throwing guys out. I'm assuming he's in the lineup tonight. If Astoria Ruiz can find his way onto first again, you got to assume he's going to be testing it. This time a righties on the mound, not a lefty in Rodon. So you want to maybe give him a look at $4,500. I think you can. The Baltimore bats, Santander's 45, Kauser's 43, Mullins is 42. We talked to Ahern at first. He's 41. You can just play any of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, at that price, the fact that you can afford to just stack the entire Orioles outfield and it's not outrageously priced, that seems unfair. Those guys are all hitting so good. I don't know why Mullins and Kauser are still this cheap with how well they've been hitting.
Yeah, 313, 949 OPS, last 10 games with 3 homers and 3 stolen bases. Fitzcedric Mullins, yet he's just $4,200. Colton Kauser, batting average coming down a little bit, but still over 1,000 OPS and 4 homers for him over his last 10 games. So definitely some nice mid-tier price points. Melendez against Gossman, if you're not in on it. Jackson Merrill, get the lefty versus Feltner, and Coors at 42 is another one I have my eye on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think you got some good options as you keep going down. I think you can jump back into the Twins down here too. We already talked about Kirilloff, but Max Kepler batting 4th too. If you want to continue that Minnesota stack, he in his first game back, had 2 hits and a double, 3 RBIs. I think he's pretty low priced because he, had a slow start and then was injured, but now he's back. He looks healthy. I think he's a great hitter and someone that will climb up this, pricing as he is back and healthy. So why not jump in while he's cheap? He's good.
Yeah, I like that one. Grichuk against a lefty and Duvall versus lefty. Those are the right splits if you want to tempt either of those guys at $3,600 a piece there. Grichuk in the middle of that lineup against Arizona. They're obviously looking out. Let's see. Varsho, do you go back to the well? 3,400?
Look, I'm tempted to. It's hard for me because, like you said, I also really like Waka. I'm a big fan of Waka. But, it's still tempting to go back after these lefty bats in Toronto they've been performing, that keeps going well, and they continue to be cheap. So, yeah, if you're not as much of a Waka fan as I am especially, then, yeah, why not jump right back in? He produced for us another homer yesterday. So with him this locked into the plate and still being 3,400, why not go back to Varsho?
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, he started over 2, then got a walk in the home run later on in the game and really came through and paid off the tag. Let's see, what else do we got popping here? I saw early some people liking Canario here. Do we think that he's back in the lineup, and would you play him at 34?
I mean, I guess so. I guess I don't really know much about him and the value he brings, so I don't know if I can speak too much on it. But
he had some early rostership love. I think just price tag wise, and maybe for people trying to fit Cub stacks in, he's cheap enough, right? So you have him there. Verdugo's 32. I don't really like the player, but he gets the right split. Let's see. What else do we have working our way down here? Sad Jordan Walker, they're 29. Oh, yeah. Lawrence, again, 28. Just here.
He provides power potential. And the fact that you could stack the first, second, third, and fourth hitters in this Minnesota lineup for an average of what does that even come out to? Like
$3,300 probably.
Yeah. Like that's kind of insane against a pitcher that's not that great. That's a real cheap 1 through 4 stack against a.
Yeah, you can get Kirilloff, Julian, Lawrence, and Kepler, and I think the average is going to be like $3,700, maybe. Yeah, but probably cheaper, honestly, because I think Kepler was the most expensive at 39. So very very inexpensive twin stack, and as Justin said, Twins did him right last night. Probably go back to the well today.
Yeah, again, it's a risk. They might all strike out a million times, but for that cheap, you're going to be able to put so many other studs into your lineup that, why not? If they go off and crush Fetty, you could have a really high scoring lineup with those 4 in it.
Agreed. All right, let's get a lineup going. I think we agreed on Lopez and King, which the majority of the chat was also in. I plugged in Lawrence because he's $2,800. He's hitting third, so why not? $4,400 for a catcher. You liked Gabe Moreno. I'm fine going there. If anything cheaper opens up, we can certainly move down and save some money. $4,500 to play. What did you want to do as your top spend today? We talked Baltimore stack. We talked Arizona stack, Cubs stack. Where do you want to? What are you thinking?
I think if you want to spend with Moreno already in there, I feel like I have to then go Diamondbacks and at least get Ketel Marte in there. That's if you have the 1-2 at the very least. I think that's where I want to spend money.
I'm good. I'm good with that. You liked Bellinger, so let's see what we can do with Bellinger in there at 49.
Yeah, and then maybe put some more of these Twins in there if we need to go cheap.
Yeah, we probably can. Let's plug. Do you want to do Morel to get the Bellinger connection here?
Yeah, sure. You could do that. Yeah, you could go Westberg and some of the Baltimore outfielders too. I think either direction is viable.
Trying to think, where does Dansby hit for Chicago usually? Do we have an idea on that?
That's a good question. I think he's normally
second or third, right?
Second, I think. Let's see.
Kind of like the power with Morel, but getting Westberg in there definitely would be a good spot because after that shortstop, we didn't really have. I mean, if we didn't spend up at short, can we do a one-off gunner? It gets $33.50.
Yeah, I mean, you could always.
Kirilloff. Kirilloff is 39, and then do we have another cheap outfielder down here? No, we didn't. Let's see. What do we go off of here then? Do we maybe go down or just do a one-off Marte?
Yeah.
A little cheaper catcher. Let's see. Hard doing this when we don't have an official lineup out for a lot of these teams.
I know, especially catchers always because you just want to know who's in it. It changes every day.
Right. Let's do. Who's going to catch for?
Assume that Patrick Bailey will be in against a righty and go.
Yeah, let's assume Bailey, and that gives us 36.
That's much more to deal with there. And
that can give us a little Grichuk. It's a 1-6, but it's still connection there, so we can do that. All right, just an example lineup for everybody here: Lopez, King, Bailey, Kirilloff, Marte, Morel, Henderson, Lawrence, Bellinger, and Grichuk. So 2-man for Arizona, 2-man for the Cubs. 2-man for Minnesota, 1-off for Baltimore, 1-off for the Giants. Mark saying Dansby hits 5th unless it's a lefty on the mound, so good looks there. So
It's like he's been up second, third, fourth a bit the last week, but before that he was fifth pretty much every day.
Yeah. So just an example lineup again. Playbook is out. Our guy Jason Rogowski's already have that out on the site for you all. Ownership's been updated. If you have any questions, you can find us on Discord or follow us over on Twitter. Of course, if you're not yet a member of the Fantasyland family, I don't know what you're waiting for there either. You can sign up today. Go to fantasyland.com/win. You can scan the QR code there on the screen as well. Our annual subscription, our yearly subscription is 40% off the month-to-month price. So you can spend, I think it's $289 for the year, or spend $40 a month, and you get it for a year. So that means all of next football season's included, the NFL draft guides included, MLB, the rest of NBA, the rest of NHL, MMA, PGA, NASCAR, you name it, we cover it. If it's behind the paywall, you get access to it. Our guy Andrew Cooper is releasing a best ball cheat sheet guide. So all of you who like to play on Underdog or your favorite best ball NFL format for fantasy football, he's got an entire guide with player rankings, sleepers, busts, rookies, and that's going to be updated throughout the offseason. That's part of the All-Pro package. So even added value there. So if you're not yet a member of the Fantasyland family, again, fantasyland.com/win, or scan the QR code there on the screen. Henry and I will be back tomorrow. I think Henry's even on the playbook for tomorrow, right? So he'll have you ready to go for this slate. We'll have the preview show, myself and Howard Bender, released tonight for your viewing pleasure. Until then, everybody, good luck. We'll catch you later.